What's up, podcast? Before we start today's episode, I just want to make sure that you guys are following and subscribing all of our content at svaofamerica.com/AssistanceHQ. There you can find all of the latest and greatest content, podcasts, articles, and so much more. The link's going to be in the description, so make sure you don't ever miss a piece of content. It's a whole lot of assistance going on. And now, a moment from our sponsor. Hey guys, today's podcast episode is taken from a Facebook Live recording that I did earlier today. I hope you guys enjoy. There we go. Now I'm officially live everywhere. How are you guys doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I didn't get to see my live yesterday. I didn't go live for a long time. Today is my birthday. So happy 23rd birthday to me. It feels extremely weird because I don't feel 23. And if I say I'm 23, it feels so weird to say I'm 23 because it's like, dang, I feel old. Like 23 is not old at all, but it feels old. And I don't know why. I just can't wait till I'm at a different point in my life so I feel just a little bit different, you know? So, I guess happy birthday to me. And I'm spending today reflecting and realizing how I'm going to move forward, you know, because no matter what goes on, what happens as I turn a year older, things happen, life goes on. My birthday doesn't dictate my life necessarily. And so one of the things I've realized is, okay, last year I had a particular goal. And I use my birthday, because I don't celebrate birthdays, as a milestone, if you will. Like, instead of focusing on January to December as a full year, I just focus on it as from my birthday to the next time my birthday is. So each year that I'm officially older, not counting going into the new year, I mean, yeah, those things are cool too, but when you hit a certain point, I start using my birthday, because it's like, okay, last year I was in X position. This year I'm in Y position. Next year I plan on being in Z position. So it's really been a growth changer for me. It's really been something that I'm trying to get used to, if you will. So, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I just got a lot of things I feel like I have to do. I'm in the process of trying to get funding. I'm in the process of like going for investors. I'm trying to put the business together. I'm really focusing on the growth of this business and everything. And it's pretty hard. You know, I have so many things to do, and I feel like I started slacking off towards the end of this week, you know. I have client work that I'm supposed to be getting done. She needs like labels and everything. I need to get labels, and I'm just waiting for the people to get back to me. But just sometimes things take long, and I don't like not being able to move at an expedited rate. Like, everything I do needs to be smooth, fast, transitionless. Like, screw the transition timing. I need to be transitionless. You know, I just feel like I'm not. You ever just get the feeling that you're not doing enough? I don't know if it resonates with you guys, but do you ever just get the feeling that you're just not doing enough? And that's where I feel like, where's my hustle? Where is my hustle at? I just feel like I'm not necessarily hustling the way I should be hustling, the way I could be hustling. I have so much to do, and yet I wake up and I make sure I'm up at like 5 o'clock and everything, and then I spend a good portion of that time waking up at 5 o'clock procrastinating, scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through Twitter, telling myself it's more or less kind of like research. I have to consume social media because as someone who wants to be, you know, in the social media world, as someone who is a YouTuber now, as someone who has been slacking on posting YouTube videos, I just feel like I haven't been putting the hustle that I need to be putting into my work. That's just me, though. You know, I've really been trying to grow this business, and reaching for $100,000 is no easy task. However, my goal is by end of the year that I do have funding. You know, what's good, League? So I've really been, like, everything I do has been focused on my business, because literally I had a meeting yesterday. It was for the purpose of funding, and we have another meeting with the CEO, Adam, on Monday. because apparently me asking for $100,000 is reasonable. Who knew? Who knows? Who knew? So if me asking for $100,000 for a year's runway of time is feasible, that means that what I'm doing, my process, my everything that I'm doing is on focal point. You ever just like, sometimes I think people need reassurance, and a lot of people say, "Oh, you need to be self-motivated. Oh, you have to do all of these things yourself," and that is 100% true. If you guys know me, you know I am a firm believer. I'm a firm believer in bootstrapping and doing it yourself. Yes. However, there comes a point that when you have either too many clients or not enough time to do things, you have to change. For example, this morning I was listening to something, right? And you know how I feel about listening to things. I'm always listening to different things, getting different ideas, different mindsets, theologies. How can I move better and differently? And I was listening to this guy, and he said, give me a number. How much do you want to make? Like normal, like everyone else, I want to make $1 million a year. That sounds cool. So $1 million a year broken down into an hourly job, right? So if you were to work, say, a 9 to 5 and make $1 million a year from this said 9 to 5, that would come to about $500 an hour, right? So in this $500 an hour, any task that you don't do, any task that you do that is not worth $500 an hour needs to be done with somebody else. However, that doesn't mean do nothing, because that is the important part. When someone says you can't do a task that costs less than $500 an hour, do you know what costs less than $500 an hour? You shouldn't be doing your own grocery. You shouldn't be cutting your own grass. You shouldn't be painting your own back deck. Anything that isn't going to make you at least, or doesn't cost at least $500 an hour, is not worth your time. Think of it like this. If you made $1 million in a year, correct? If you make $1 million in a year, your time is valued at $500 an hour. Why is your time valued at What's good? We're talking, right? So why would your time be valued at $500 an hour? Because you work 40 hours a week throughout the year at $500 an hour. That makes sense, correct? So if you do a task that is less than $500 an hour, you are wasting your time. Now, that's not to say that every task can be done by somebody else. For example, no one else can raise your kids. No one else should be raising your kids. That is a task that you have to do completely on your own. However, cutting the grass costs what? $15 an hour? So if you cut the grass for an hour, you lose $485 an hour. Now you're thinking, how do I lose $485 an hour by cutting the grass? Well, think of it like this. Why are you cutting? The answer is because the grass needs to be cut. Understandable. Your grass has to be cut. But do you have to cut your grass? Now, stay with me. Stay with me. I know it sounds weird, but listen. If you were to replace that task of cutting your grass with being in front of a prospect, you now have made $500. You can't say, oh, I'm going to not cut my grass and then go watch TV. You can't replace the hour of cutting grass with watching TV. Why? Because it's not productive. How much does TV cost to watch? $0 an hour. So the goal should be to maximize the amount of hours spent in front of prospects or spent doing $500 plus tasks. For example, my podcast, it's small now, but will grow. And as it grows, it is something that will be a $500 an hour task. This is something that I'm putting effort into doing. It's a $500 an hour task. When I do my lives, it's for the purpose of my podcast and having social presence. The social presence increases my business. My business, which will be bringing me $500 an hour, is important to grow. So therefore, marketing my business, even though I'm not getting paid for it right now, is an important task. Cutting the grass at no value point is worth your time if you are trying to go do big things. Now, You have to compare every little thing. If you are comparing what your time should be done doing, for example, what should you be doing during this hour? You should be working with prospecting clients, working with people or things that will help bring you more money, which is that $500 an hour that you're looking for. However, if you say that my time is worth more than $15 an hour, right? And so you don't cut the grass because you feel like, your time is worth more than $15 an hour, which is okay. Yet you go and replace that hour of $15 an hour with a task that is $0 an hour, Hulu, Netflix, HBO, smoking weed, whatever task that you're replaced with has to be at least $500 an hour. So if you said, you know what, I am going to not cut my grass and instead I'm going to go out to dinner. It depends on what the purpose of the dinner is for. So if you have 500, this $500, right? You're going to try and save $15 in an hour by cutting your own grass when you instead could have been doing something that produced you $500. Going out to dinner and now spending that money on something else. So for example, if you should have been, the options were be in front of a prospect, which would be a $500 an hour task, cut the grass, which is a $15 an hour task, or go on vacation, which is going to cost you X amount of money per hour. So not only do you lose that $500 per hour, you're spending money. So now you're overall in total losing $600, $700, $800, $1,000 per hour. That is why it is important to maximize the use of your time, because what you do is more important than how it gets done. It's more important than that you do something, right? It's important that the grass gets cut. It's not important that you cut it. It's important that you make a certain amount of money or be in front of prospects. Sometimes you may not have to be in front of prospects, or sometimes you may have to be in front of that prospect. But the point is, what are you doing with the time that you have? So if you make $15 an hour, because you're like, oh, well, I don't make $500 an hour, so how can we say that? My time is only worth $15 an hour. I make right now $15 an hour. So you can't say that, cutting the grass is technically a waste of time. Understandable. How are you going to grow if that is the case, though? Think of that. Okay, I completely understand that the grass has to be cut, and you only make $15 an hour, so your time is only going to be worth $15 an hour. So therefore, cutting the grass technically doesn't take anything away. However, you have to think about the future. You have to think about the habit and the hustle of what someone does now. How are you going to have a habit and a hustle now? Because we've talked about that before. Percentages. Whatever you spend is a percent of your money. So if you make $1,000 and you spend $500, guess what? You spend 50% of your money. Not spend $500 a month. You spend You spend 50% of your money. The same aspect, the same principle, because we were talking about principle. Just like in yesterday's live, we talked about principle. So the principle of that matter that can be translated into an hourly basis is, if you have the time to do something, what could you be doing with that time more? You have a habit, right? You have a percent of time. So if you use a certain amount of your time doing tasks that only amount to this amount of money ever, if you only, like for example, if you are cutting your grass and your grass only, guess what? You will never have a time worth more than $15 an hour, period. However, if you were cutting your grass, cutting someone else's grass, and then someone else's grass, yeah, it's $15 an hour now. But as that continues to grow, that can go from $15 an hour to $20 an hour. Because say this, you hire somebody, you get a little sidekick, pay him $10 an hour. So you make $5 an hour for every grass that he cuts. So while you cut grass and he cuts grass, You make 15 from your cut grass and you make 5 from his cut grass. So you make $20 in an hour. And then it continues to grow and grow and grow and grow. That is how your time becomes worth more. You can't sit and think that because whatever you do now isn't going to have an effect on the future, which is completely wrong. Everything you do now, you are in the position you are in today. I don't care what position you're in. Whatever position you are in today is because of the decisions you made in the past. Everything, every single one. So if you work at McDonald's right now, guess why you work at McDonald's? It's because you applied to McDonald's X amount of time ago and got the job. If you are in a place that you didn't like, if you were like, you know what, I want to achieve these goals, and then this time comes and you didn't achieve these goals, you have to look at why. Did you procrastinate? Did something happen? What? You have to look at your deciding factors. Because here's the thing, real hustlers, real entrepreneurs are not going to let them stop you, are not going to let anything stop you. Now, obviously, we have to bring in the ethics for this example. But think of this. If a crackhead with absolutely no money in his pocket, absolutely none, $0, you have absolutely no money in your pocket as a crackhead, your entire goal for the next 24 hours, for the next 12 to 24 hours, is how to get your next fix. If you are addicted to drugs and you have $0 in your pocket, no access to money, your next 12 to 24 hours is going to be spent trying to get a fix. You will do anything and everything possible to get just a little bit of money to go get your fix. You will stand out there and beg for an hour during morning hour traffic. So, you'll go can collecting from 6 to 8, right? Let's just go over what the hustle of a crackhead. 6 to 8, you're out there doing what you got to do. You know what I'm talking about. 6 to 8, you're doing what you got to do. You know what I'm talking about. Then at 8 o'clock, you're on the corner, you're begging for some money. That's when people are going to work. That's when the most traffic is. You think homeless people don't know that? You think people that ask you for money don't think of these things? Think of this. Why do you think the person who asks you for money that hangs out at the gas station or the corner store asks you for money on your way out? Or when you're going in says, hey man, when you come out, can I get your change? Because he knows that you have money. You are in an establishment that requires the spending of money. So this drug addicted person in his head knows that people go to the store to spend money. People also know that when you go to the store to spend money and you have X amount of dollars and you go get a couple of, you go get a can of soda and a muffin, you might have $2, $3 in change. You might have a couple of cents to give. And guess what? You're just going to go toss that in your car, probably lose it anyway. Probably go use that $3 for whatever. It's only $3. But to that person trying to get that fix, the person who understands that this $3 is going to put me ahead, or not necessarily ahead, because I don't want to make it seem like it's a positive thing, but they understand that this $3 is going to put me closer to what I would like to get. So when you have a business, when you have a hustle, when you have something that you want to do, you have to have the same passion, the same drive, the same hustle as a crackhead. Now, for the people that just joined my live, I seen someone just join my live, you got to understand what I'm saying. I am saying that you have to have the hustle of a crackhead, but you have to understand what I'm saying. When you're a crackhead, you only think about getting your fix. So just like that, you as a business owner, you as an entrepreneur, you as a hustler, whatever it is that you're doing, you have to have that same hustle of a mindset, because they're thinking. You can't discount what these people out here are doing, because these homeless people are probably harder hustlers than every single one of you guys watching my live. The homeless people are much more hustlers than you guys watching my live. That crackhead is a stronger hustler than you. Do you want to know why he's a much better hustler than you? Because he has that drive. There's a fix. He's like, yo, I got 12 to 24 hours to get my next fix. You should have the same mindset when it comes to making a sale, when it comes to getting a client, when it comes to doing a task that will put you ahead in what you're trying to do. Because if you don't, guess what? You're not going to get ahead. If you don't have the will to succeed, just like you want to breathe, because that's what a crackhead has. A crackhead can forget to breathe. He's like, yo, I just need to get some money to get my next fix. And you need to have that same attitude when it comes to business. You need to have that thought that, yo, whatever I do, I'm going to get to the next milestone. I need the next milestone to come. So you have to have the exact same hustle, the same work ethic, the same thought pattern. Because guess what? How are you going to sit here and tell me that a homeless person, someone that you look down on, even though you shouldn't, they are outsmarting you and out hustling you. They have a better spot than you. Think of this. If you were begging for money, where would you beg for money? The corner? The highway? The freeway? Side of the street, walking up and down the street? Or sitting in front of a gas station or corner store or a bank, because I've seen it happen too. If you're from New Haven, if you're from New Haven and you've gone to that Wells Fargo on Whaley, you know that there's maybe one person usually there that's just kind of posted outside asking you for money. Now, think, why are these people asking you for money? Because, one, they need money. But why are they where they at? Why do you feel more obligated to give this person your change because you went to the store and got a 50-cent CNC can and had 50 cents left from your dollar? So why not give it to him? Why not give this man the 50 cents? Do you not think that they know that? Do you not think that people are more, do you not think that they don't know someone is more likely to give them money if they ask for the change before they walk into the store? Hey man, you're probably going to have like 75 cents in change, 50 cents in change. Can I get your change? When you come out the store, when you get off the store, hey man, you got some change for me? You got some change for me? The same attitude has to be done in business. You have to have the same relentless marketing strategy. That is why there are more homeless to riches stories than you can count and think of. Because when you are homeless, when you understand the principles of what it means to have to hustle, you translate that into every aspect of your life. So, for example, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry was once homeless with no money. You have to think about that. Robert Downey Jr. was once in and out of jail because of drug addictions, gambling issues. However, when you take the mindset of being addicted, and then that person who is addicted decides to say, you know what, I want better for myself. I want to do more. That drive that they have to do more is the exact same hustle that they have to get drugs. And that is why they succeed. That is why you see so many rags to riches stories, because the rags people have the idea and the hustle. And I'm not talking about the gutters. I'm not talking about the trenches. I'm not talking to you that grew up in the hood on the south side, getting shot, all these other people. No, I'm not talking about hood trauma. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the person that doesn't have two parents, that was born into the foster system, that got bounced around, probably was abused, that knows what it means to there's a difference between knowing poverty and knowing nothing. There's a lot of you live in poverty. Understandable. Very understandable. But if you have a roof over your head, food to eat occasionally, even if you don't know that, I may not have the best. Like, think of this. I just want to bring this out. For every single person that is from the gutters, that say they're from the trenches, I want you to look on your feet right now and we'll see what kind of pair of sneakers you have on. I don't care how you got it. I don't care if you sold drugs to get it. I don't care if your mom bought it for you for Christmas. I don't care if your girlfriend bought it for you. Look on your feet and see which pair of sneakers you have. Now, you're going to say, oh, well, me having Jordans doesn't mean that, I'm rich or anything. But think of this. Why are you unable to make certain ends meet and be focused on the name brand of things? That is a luxury. Think of that. Being poor in America is a luxury. Now, it sounds weird. I understand the kickback I can get for saying something like that. But you also have to understand privilege. You were born in America. People buy anything. Like, as much as we see hunger, homelessness, water, disease right next door, right outside, you can go to Detroit and see some terrible things. But guess what? Still not as bad as if you have to go outside butt naked and had the possibility of catching malaria. We don't have that. Thank you. Look at that. Wonderful. So you have to have that same hustle, that same drive. Because if you don't have that same hustle, if you don't have that same drive, you are not going to go anywhere. I'm sorry to tell you. Like, you have to have that hustle. I go live consistency is key. You can literally win based on consistency alone. You don't have to have the best product. You don't have to have the best service. You don't have to have the most expensive, the best looking. You just have to be the most consistent person. Do you know what consistency is? Consistency is when you hate a song and you hear it so much that you all of a sudden start liking it. Consistency is being in your face so much that people have no other option but to listen because you are consistent. Because you are consistent. No one else has the option. Nobody else has the ability to challenge what you say because you're consistent. Because you get results. And guess what? You want to know what I say? Consistency. Well, another reason why I'll say consistency is key. Because let's think of a low level, right? You're like, oh, I'm consistent and I only get 1,000 views. I only get 1,000 views every time I go live, right? And you're like, oh, that's not a lot. For example, I have one person on my Instagram live right now, watching my Instagram live. I consistently have one person watching my live. And a lot of you are going to laugh at that. It's understandable. It's only one person. Only one person is watching my Instagram live right now. I'm live on other platforms, but I have one person watching my Instagram live. That's fine. Because guess what? If I'm consistent enough, and that one person is consistent, like consistency, because it's not the same person. Think of it like that. I have someone watching my live right now. Tomorrow when I go live at the exact same time and do the exact same thing, this one person is probably not going to be the person watching my live. It's going to be a different one person watching my live. But guess what? I will consistently have one person watching my live. And over the course of time, the amount of people that like my live will increase. Why? Because the one person that watches my live consistently, consistency is key. So if one person watches my live, now if I can get consistently one person to watch my live, the same one person to watch my live, all you need is one person, right? If one person consistently watches my live and I am consistent in my work, they will then put someone on who they feel like wants to see and view my content. They will then say, you know what? I think you should go watch this person's live. So now I have two people watching my live, the same consistency, and then it grows. That is why consistency is the most important. That's why I consider myself the Tory Lanez. Thank you. I'm glad you started watching. You see, someone on my Instagram just literally said, keep it up. I just started watching them this week. Think about that. Someone is now watching my live, and if I have a follower that watches my live consistently, guess what? They get to see my story. They get to see the progress. And I'm here to spread love. It's value for them. People watch my live for value. The reason a lot of you don't have, you guys go live and you get a lot of viewers is because you're popular. It's because you're popular. But I guarantee you, if you were to go live every single day, you wouldn't have those same numbers. Now, for those of you that are popular, and if you start going live every day with something of value, because think of it, you have to have a reason for someone to want to tune into your live. I'm going to give the best example of someone who brings value, who I would like to be more consistent, is a friend of mine named Earl Rifa. My boy Earl Rifa is amazing when it comes to being on video. He works like this man is a star in a sense of he knows he's a star, and you have to know your skill. This man knows he's a celebrity. You can being a celebrity is a skill. I want you guys to know that being a celebrity is a skill. Kim Kardashian is not famous for nothing. She's famous for being a celebrity. You can think about that. Enough people relate, resonate, or care about what you have to say, and the only way you can get someone to care about what you have to say is for there to be value in what you're saying. So, for my boy Earl Reefa, gets a lot of views, gets a lot of whenever he does something, and if he's consistent, it will pop. But he's not consistent. So, whenever he goes live, he just gets a lot, and then it's done. Consistency is key because you have to be able to consistently do something. And why do I say consistently do something? I'm going to bring up my boy Rakim. Now, that is someone who is starting low. It's not, high numbers, but it's consistency. I promise you, this man, Rakim, I've known him since before high school because, oh my gosh, I remember going to high school, seeing Rakim, and was like, yo, we used to play football together. Like I've known Rakim since probably like 7th or 8th grade when we played football, right? And he's always had a different thought. He's a hustler. He wants different. He wants more. He wants better. And now he's consistent. He does stocks, forex, and cryptocurrency. This man consistently makes money every single day from the stock market. Think about that. This man makes a little bit of money every single day, and it's only a little bit, maybe $100, right? But you have to think of this. You're like, oh, $100 a day sounds like a lot of money. No. Think of it like this. If you work at Amazon, chances are you make $100 a day. Think about that. You all don't realize, thank you. You all don't realize how much money you're making because you're doing other things with that money. Things you shouldn't be doing. You have to understand and think and listen. So this man Rakim makes a little bit of money every day. Some days it might be $10. Another day it might be $25. Another day it might be $100. I know a couple of days ago, he did over 300%. I'm sure that he has done over $250, $300 in trades on a single day. It's consistency. And he still works his day job as a security guard. So it's about consistency. And do you know why I say it's about consistency? Because guess what? That 25, I'm going to do the math out for you right now. Think of it like this. Consistency is key. This man makes $25 a day. Let's just call it that, right? Because he's gotten to that point. It's a small amount of work that he makes every single day consistently. So if someone were to consistently make $25 a day from the stock market, 7 days a week, actually no, $25 a day for 365 days, right? Let's do that. Consistently, because we're talking about consistency being key in small numbers. So $25 a day times 365 days. That is $9,100. That is $9,100 in a year. That is not a lot of money. Guess what? Did you know if you do your taxes, you don't have to file your taxes. If you make under $12,000 a year, the government says we don't even give a freak about you. We don't care. You ain't making enough money. Because the tax exemption, standard deduction, is $12,000. So if you don't even make $12,000, the government says, you know what? Here. I mean, you got to file taxes just so we know how you made money and everything, but we don't give you everything back. We don't want your money. Think of it like this. If you don't make $12,000, the government says we don't even want your money. Think about that. The Uncle Sam wants everything. But if you don't make at least $12,000 in a year, Uncle Sam says, yo, listen, you're not even worth our time. Can you imagine not making enough money to where Uncle Sam even says, I don't want a piece? But $9,100, that's fine. However, we're talking about my boy Rakim. He still works his day job. So let's just say that this $9,100 has been staying in the investment account. He hasn't taken out any money because he works a regular day job. And as a security guard, you're at work all freaking day. So you can trade at work. You can trade when you're not at work. So for him, he's able to double down. So if you're at work and you have your regular job and you're able to trade stocks while you're at your job, so now you can live off your security job. So now at the end of the year, he has $9,000, not cash, $9,000 in an investment account for him to play Access with. And guess what? Because he consistently made $25 a day for a year, he now can, let's just say, make 25, I need a number. Let's just say 25%, right? Multiply this by 0.25. I feel like 25% of $9,000 is a good number, right? So let's just say he makes 25% of that $9,000 a month. So this is the point of compounding. This is how they say compounding interest works. It's, in this particular sense, it's not about interest. It's about the math of being, it's called millionaire math, honestly. That's what it's called, millionaire math. So going back to what I was saying, this man that I know, my boy Rakeem, at the end of the year, he's done only $9,000 in money from trades. But he didn't touch any of that because he was living off his security job. So now, going into the next year, he makes 25% of that $9,000 every single month because he executes trades. Because he has more money to trade and he has consistently been making a small amount of money, he will consistently now make a larger amount of money. So do you want to know what happens after 1 year time? After 1 year of making $25 a day, 1 year of $25 a day, that's all I'm saying, right? 1 year of $25 a day. At the end of that year, he will now make 25% per month because of the volume of trades that he's able to make off that $9,000. And guess what? You'll be able to grow. So, month one, he will make $2,200, right? So let's add this $2,200 plus that $9,100 that we were talking about is $11,000, right? Doesn't take out any money, doesn't take out any cash. It's all in the investment account still. Okay, still in the investment account. However, we said he makes 25% of whatever is in the investment account because that's in that month. In the month, he is up 25%. So multiply this number by 25%. $2,800. So month one, $2,200, month eight, $2,800. And guess what? It's now going to grow because compounding interest. That is what is important. That is why consistency is key. Now, I'm going to give you guys my example, right? This is my example of how hustle and consistency works for me. It took me, as you guys know, 5 months to make $1,000. 5 months to make $1,000, right? Now that I have, let's just say another 5 months goes by and I make $2,000, right? So it took me 10 months to make $2,000. Now, these aren't even most accurate numbers, but 10 months to make $2,000. Because this client pays on a monthly basis, and I now have been able to make $2,000, the clients from that point forward will be $2,000 a month. Not 10 months to make $2,000, but it took me 10 months to make $2,000 and then $2,000 a month. So you have to have consistency in your work ethic. That is why I can't get, like, my biggest thing is I am going to be rich off of consistency. And if you don't believe me, just stay tuned on the live. But, you know, do it yourself. Hey Ramblers, before you go, make sure you're following us on social media at Assistance HQ across the board for all content and exclusives. And for an even more personal touch, subscribe to our weekly newsletter with the link in the description.